Lake Bohinj, cradled in Triglav National Park, is one of Europe's clearest glacial lakes, fed by hidden karst springs that help preserve its mirror-like clarity and ancient cold. Do you know Rakov Škocjan hides natural stone bridges and vanished river canyons, where water has carved tunnels so deep that local legends speak of forests swallowed whole beneath the earth? Perched beneath the jagged teeth of the Julian Alps, Lake Bled is one of the world's few alpine lakes, crowned by a solitary island with a medieval church. Do you know that the tiny Bled Island hosts the only remaining Baroque pilgrimage church in an island setting in the region, ringing its bell for wishes whispered into the mountain air? For centuries, locals row Platina boats, whose colors and rhythms are as old as the legends that bind this place to tales of kings, witches, and a sunken glacial. The emerald waters hide a landscape of submerged stone and stories, and in winter, the lake's gentle steam transforms into a painterly fog that lifts like a secret. On the cliff above, Bled Castle perches like a timekeeper, its red roofs and museum halls preserving manuscripts, ancient weapons, and the oldest grapevine in Slovenia. That vine, planted in the 16th century, still bears fruit each year, a living thread between the medieval past and modern palates. Walk the lake's beaten path, and each bend frames a new geometry of light. Boats gliding, swans carving silent wakes, and the church steeple mirrored perfectly below. Local bakers keep another tradition alive with kremšnita, a custard slice invented here that tastes of cream, nostalgia, and centuries of celebrations. Beyond the tourist postcards, quiet mornings reveal fishermen casting lines near reed-bedded coves where endemic trout navigate cool currents. In summer, cliffside trails spill hikers toward hidden viewpoints where the island shrinks to a jewel against a backdrop of snow-dusted peaks. Artists, composers, and rulers have long come here to be remade by the lake's angular mix of serenity and legend. Even today, couples hire traditional boats and ring the church bell to cement vows, an intimate ritual that folds personal stories into the island's long memory. From Bled, paths lead naturally toward wind-scoured Gorge, Triglav Park, and the wider Slovenian highlands, linking this intimate lake to a landscape of waterfalls and karst wonder. Every turn at Bled is an invitation to taste, to listen, to step into a living myth shaped by water, stone, and human hands. To truly know Lake Bled is to trace the small details, the worn oars, the bell's partial chime, the crumbs of custard on a tour guide's notebook. Stay with us, and we'll follow those traces, crossing from island to castle, past vines and gorges, to discover the secrets that make Lake Bled uniquely Slovenian. High in the Julian Alps, Triglav National Park shelters one of Europe's last remaining intact glacial cirques above 2,000 meters. Do you know Triglav National Park harbors endemic species and alpine flowers found nowhere else, including rare populations clinging to limestone facies? The park centers around Mount Triglav, Slovenia's highest peak, whose three-headed silhouette gave the mountain its name. From its summit, waters spill into rivulets that become the Emerald Socha River, linking jagged peaks to verdant valleys. Hiking trails descend toward Lake Bohinj, a mirror of Ice Age origins where brown trout still slip beneath glassy reflections. Along the way, centuries-old shepherd huts and stone karst features whisper of human lives shaped by glacier and rock. The Socha Valley, with its turquoise currents, connects mountain runoff to wider landscapes and to wartime history etched into high passes. At Vršič Pass, stone memorials sit beside switchbacks that once carried armies, now carrying hikers and motorists between summits. Hidden gorges and waterfalls like the Wild Perichnik reveal layers of limestone carved over millennia, sometimes concealing subterranean caves. Those caves feed underground rivers that re-emerge as springs, stitching together ecosystems from alpine tundra to lowland forests. In spring, the meadows explode with gentians and fritillaries, drawing pollinators that in turn nourish the park's birds of prey and marmots. Local guides will tell you that traditional mountain cheese and shepherd culture survive here because the land remains so finely balanced. Triglav's conservation success links directly to neighboring villages, where sustainable tourism funds preservation and keeps ancient practices alive. Follow a ridgeline from Triglav to Kolovrat, and you'll see geological folds linking alpine peaks to the Adriatic. Seasons reframe the park. Large autumn, deep winter snow, bursting summer green. Beneath that surface, scientists still find microhabitats and species rewriting our view of European peaks. Lake Bohinj is one of the few permanent glacial lakes in the Julian Alps, whose basin still reveals visible moraines and sculpted ice cliffs, evidence of an ice age still reading like a map. Do you know Lake Bohinj is fed not only by the famous Velika waterfall, but also by a hidden karst labyrinth that channels melt and spring water beneath the surface, so the lake can rise and shimmer without an obvious source. In summer, its water shifts from turquoise to steel blue, depending on the light and the underground flow. And in winter, the surface can freeze into an unbroken sheet that locals once used to skate across. Ringed by spruce and beech forests and guarded by the jagged peaks of Triglav National Park, Bohinj feels like a place where geology and folklore have negotiated a truce. On the northern shore, the tiny village of Vršič Pass keeps centuries-old stone boathouses and a Romanesque church whose fresco of the Dance of Death is one of Slovenia's strangest medieval treasures. Walk along the paths and you can follow the Sava Bohinjska River as it escapes the lake, threading through valleys toward the larger Sava River, and ultimately linking Bohinj's secluded basin to the country's lowlands. Fishermen swear Bohinj trout taste different because they grow in mineral-rich waters, fed by mountain springs, and biologists point to the lake's remarkable clarity and oxygenation as a reason for its rich aquatic life. Kayaks, silent in the morning, slide past islets and reed beds while hikers climb to viewpoints where the whole lake is revealed like a polished jewel cupped by mountains. Less obvious is how Bohinj connects to human history. Alpine pastures above the lake still carry shepherds' huts and stone wall terraces that recall centuries of seasonal migration. From here, the route continues to the glacial valleys toward the Triglav ascent, or turns west toward the storybook castle and island of Lake Bled, showing how one watery landscape folds into the next. Whether you come for solitude, to study rare mountain orchids, or to chase the light across that living surface, Bohinj keeps delivering secret changes that reward patient visitors. And beneath the calm, the lake's hidden veins of water keep moving, quiet, persistent, and strangely alive, waiting to reveal the next surprise. Velika Planina shelters one of Europe's rare high-altitude shepherd settlements, a mosaic of wooden huts and flower-strewn pastures perched above 1,600 meters. Do you know Velika Planina's pastirske koče collect sunlight like small weathered mirrors, their steep roofs sculpted to shrug off meters of winter snow? Centuries-old transhumance continues here, with shepherds driving small flocks across emerald slopes in rhythms that predate modern borders. The plateau's meadows erupt into color each summer, hosting orchids, gentians, and dozens of alpine herbs once prized by local healers. A narrow cable car and winding trail deliver visitors from Kamnik into a landscape that feels suspended between mountain and Skocjan. From the plateau's edges, you can see the serrated teeth of the Kamnik-Savinja Alps fading into distant limestone spires. The huts themselves tell stories in wood grain and smoke stains, each one named for a family or a flock and kept alive through communal maintenance. Inside, low ceilings and simple benches preserve the scent of hay and the metallic echo of sheep bells, sounds that define Velika Planina's living memory. In winter, the plateau becomes a quiet white room used by cross-country skiers and snowshoe walkers who track silent animal routes. Follow those trails, and soon you can descend into river valleys that will guide you toward alpine lakes and glacial meadows waiting further west. To truly understand Slovenia's mountain soul, spend a dawn here when mist slides between huts and the first shepherds whistle their flocks awake. Velika Planina is not only a place to see, but a living chapter in a landscape that keeps telling its story. Local seasonal festivals still celebrate milk curd, smoked cheese, and wool, products born on these slopes and preserved by hands who know every ridge. Those flavors and textiles travel down to Kamnik markets, where visitors discover that mountain taste and craft are woven into everyday life. Photographers linger for hours at the plateau's edges, waiting for light to slash across rows of huts and turn dew into scattered jewels. But Velika Planina rewards quieter pilgrims as well, offering solitude, cultural continuity, and a rare peek at Europe's pastoral past. Beneath a canopy that covers nearly 60% of its land, Slovenia's forests cradle Ljubljana Castle, which rises like a stone crown above the capital. Do you know Ljubljana Castle contains hidden chambers, a centuries-old watchtower, and legends so persistent that the dragon on the city's crest may trace back to its battlements? Walk its cobbled courtyard, and you soon realize the castle is not a single age, but a palimpsest of eras, where Roman foundations sit beneath medieval walls. Its stonework whispers of sieges, rebirths, and a time when the hill itself was the city's last refuge from invaders. What most visitors miss are the narrow stairways that twist into the castle's underbelly, leading to cellars that once stored grain, wine, and secrets. Local guides still point to a hidden well and a cryptic inscription that scholars argue ties Ljubljana Castle to Roman-era outposts. From the fortress's highest tower, the view rearranges reality. Red roofs melt into the Emerald River, and the Alps outline a horizon few capital castles can claim. That panorama was not only scenic, it was strategic, turning lookout posts into early warning systems that defined how the city grew beneath the hill. Inside, rooms have been repurposed across centuries. A chapel became a prison wing. Stables turned into galleries, and armories evolved into exhibition halls. Each transformation left fingerprints, iron bolts, fresco fragments, and graffiti from soldiers who sketched their lives on the plaster. Beneath the romantic stories lies a practical truth. Ljubljana Castle was rebuilt in the 16th century to resist cannon fire, reshaping its walls and giving it the low, rounded silhouette you see today. That military makeover is less obvious than the fairy tale dragons, but it's the reason the hill still dominates the skyline. Unexpectedly, the castle also nurtures creative energy. Summer festivals, art installations, and intimate concerts fold modern life into ancient stone. Wanderers who climb the hill at dusk often discover that the same parapets that once scanned for foes are now stages for new stories. Stay with one secret longer, and you might hear of a bell that marks births and battles, or of a hidden balcony where lovers once pledged loyalty under the moon. These are the small human traces that transform Ljubljana Castle from a touristic postcard into a living archive of the city's choices, fears, and celebrations. Later in this film, we'll follow one stone from its quarry to the courtyard where children play today, revealing how every chisel strike shaped both the fortress and the city below. But right now, picture the castle at dawn. Mist sliding down the slopes, the dragon-shaped weather vane catching light, and ask yourself what other surprises hide behind those ancient doors. Beneath Slovenia's emerald karst lies the Skocjan caves, one of only a handful of subterranean river canyons in the world, carved into monumental limestone canopies that defy belief. Do you know that Maribor, tucked along the Drava River, guards the world's oldest cultivated vine, still bearing grapes after more than 4 centuries? Step into Maribor and the city unfolds like a living wine map, where medieval facades frame cobbled lanes and vine-covered loggias whisper of harvests past. The old vine house stands as proof of a uniquely Slovenian endurance, a single grapevine that survived fires, floods, and empires, and keeps producing fruit each year. From the Lent riverside terraces, you can trace the Drava's current to the Pohorji slopes, where forests slide into ski runs and peat bogs hide rare orchids. Pohorji's dark spruce and gentle ridgelines are the pulse of Maribor's outdoor life, linking summer trails to winter festivals without ever losing the city's intimate pace. Wandering the Lent quarter during festival season, you encounter violinists under linden trees and food stalls offering jlikrofie dumplings and local kvichik wine. Svichek, a tangy regional red, is the taste that binds Maribor to the surrounding Halose and Prelakia vineyards, a shared flavor that tells of soil and sun. Every spring, the city awakens with the Maribor Festival, a blend of classical concerts, contemporary theater, and outdoor markets that stitch community to season. Those same rhythms carry you into nearby vineyards where you can taste soil-aged terroir and meet vignerons who inherited techniques passed down through generations. For travelers seeking contrasts, Maribor offers both quiet mornings along the Drava and vivid nights in bars that celebrate Slovenian craft spirits. And if you follow the trails north into the Pohorji forest, you'll discover peatland preserves and panoramic lookouts that reroute your map of Slovenia entirely. Maribor's power is subtle. It doesn't shout, it invites to sip, to stroll, to climb, and to trace how a single vine can connect a city to centuries of landscape and people. Spend a day here, and you'll leave with a map of tastes, tales, and topography that makes Maribor a hinge between Slovenia's karst heart and its fertile eastern plains. Kranjska Gora sits at the edge of the Julian Alps, where limestone towers, glacial valleys, and emerald lakes form a rare landscape in Slovenia. Its alpine Mediterranean microclimate compresses habitats, so species normally separated by hundreds of kilometers coexist here. Trails leave the village and reach Lake Jasna in minutes, twin pools that reflect jagged peaks like polished mirrors. In winter, those slopes host international ski races, while summer meadows bloom with orchids and gentians. Climb the Vršič Pass, and Wartsny memorials give way to panoramas that stitch Kranjska Gora to Trenta and the Socha River. From there, roads drop toward the turquoise canyons that form Slovenia's dramatic western spine. A short drive brings you to Planica, where ski flying transforms gravity into spectacle and human limits into records. The engines of sport there and here share communities, engineers, and an appetite for high-altitude innovation. Shepherds still move flocks across summer pastures, their wooden huts and hayracks folding into the slopes. Local cheeses and buttery breads carry the floral memory of those high meadows in every bite. Hidden trails lead from lift stations to limestone caves and plunging karst gorges where water vanishes and reappears. Those subterranean routes connect Kranjska Gora geologically to Postojna and the coastal springs, revealing Slovenia's scattered karst heartbeat. At dawn, photographers chase light across Zelenica and Moistrana, catching fragile gold before it dissolves. Hikers then follow ridgelines toward Triglav, turning village coffee stops into entry points for high mountain chapters. Kranjska Gora's compact scale lets you move from gentle lakes to vertiginous peaks in a single afternoon. It is a gateway where pastoral rhythms meet the vertical drama of the Julian Alps, and each path becomes an invitation to explore onward. Walk onward and find stories at every bend. Seasons keep rewriting them in color and sound. Hidden between the jagged spines of the Kamnik-Savinja Alps lies Logar Valley, one of Europe's most perfectly preserved glacial valleys. More than a kilometer deep and carved by ice thousands of years ago, its U-shaped floor still carries the slow, deliberate memory of glaciers. Rinka waterfall plunges from sheer limestone cliffs as the valley's dramatic punctuation, feeding the clear headwaters that become the Savinja River. Meadows unfeed like patchwork quilts below, dotted with traditional Kozolek hayracks and centuries-old alpine farms that feel suspended in time. In spring, the slopes erupt with rare orchids and highland wildflowers that draw naturalists who come quietly, careful not to disturb them. Birdsong and the faint bell of grazing sheep are the valley's soundtrack, replacing traffic and city clamor with a living, breathing rhythm. Farmsteads such as the iconic Rinka and Logar homesteads preserve wooden architecture and seasonal shepherding practices passed down through generations. Local cheesemaking and mountain breads Connect human craft directly to the land, and you can taste history in every bite. A single narrow road threads into the valley, leading eventually to pastoral pastures and panoramic viewpoints that open onto serrated peaks. From the ridge, hikers and climbers can continue toward the Solchavtjava panoramic road or descend to steeper gorges that link Logar to neighboring valleys. Conservation efforts here focus on maintaining traditional land use so biodiversity thrives alongside cultural heritage rather than being replaced by mass tourism. Small visitor centers and family-run guest houses emphasize slow travel, walking, and guided nature walks that reveal hidden alcoves. In winter, the valley's hush deepens under snow and the world takes on sculptural stillness, with icicles like chandeliers hanging from rock mouths. Come summer or winter, Logar Valley acts as a hinge, connecting the high alpine life of the Kamnik-Savinja range with lowland traditions beyond. Rakov Škocjan preserves living tufa bridges and a sinking river, one of the world's rare karst laboratories. Do you know Rakov Škocjan's tufa dams actually build themselves, trapping cascading water into terraces that rearrange the valley over decades? Walk beneath the Velika and Mala natural bridges, and you can feel time measured in limestone and moss, where waterfalls leave behind rock, as if the water were growing its own bedrock. The Rak River threads through collapsed caves and sinkholes, appearing and vanishing like a restless seam between surface and subterranean worlds. Tiny pools ringed with tufa host rare marsh orchids and endemic bryophytes that thrive on the mineral-rich spray, and brown trout weave through the clear, cold channels. Old millstones and traces of prehistoric hunters whisper of people who learned to live with a landscape that refuses to stay still. Boardwalks guide you along the gorge so you can study living rock up close. Soft, porous tufa, layered like the rings of a very slow tree. In high water, the valley roars and new deposits spread. In drought, the channels shrink and reveal caves where bats roost in volcanic silence. Conservation here is delicate. One stray foot, one diverted stream, and centuries of natural engineering can be altered overnight. Follow the rock upstream, and you reach Planina Cave, whose underground passages show how Rakov Škocjan is only a visible chapter in a wider karst story tied to Čerknika's intermittent lake. To understand Rakov Škocjan is to watch Geology and Life co-author new scenery each year, and to see why Slovenia's secret rivers still surprise even seasoned explorers. Snežnik Plateau harbors one of Europe's last continuous tracts of primeval beech and fir forest, where trees drape over karst sinkholes and limestone ridges. Do you know Snežnik Plateau is one of the rare places where Mediterranean warmth meets alpine cold, creating pockets of species found nowhere else? Walk its quiet trails, and you can pass ancient larches and silent peatbows, then step into open grasslands that glow with alpine orchids. Forest clearings reveal mushroom-rich duff and glacial erratics that tell of an ice age shape-shifting this landscape long before human maps existed. The plateau's mosaic connects directly to the deeper Kočevje woods, a corridor that still supports lynx, wolves, and the shy brown bear. Local shepherds and hunters have long relied on these routes, and their seasonal huts stitch culture into the living tapestry of trees and meadows. Hidden karst springs here feed rivulets that vanish into limestone caverns, linking Snežnik's surface drama with underground rivers and cave systems. That subterranean plumbing, in turn, binds the plateau to nearby karst basins and to Slovenia's broader water tapestry that sustains farms and forests alike. Photographers chase that light, but naturalists linger longer, cataloging mosses and tear beetles that survive only where old-growth continuity persists. Access is deliberately restrained. Limited roads and low-key lodges keep the human footprint gentle, preserving corridors that migratory species still use. And because people live in harmony with seasonality here, festivals, folk songs, and alpine pine cheeses become part of the plateau's living conservation story. In this episode, we'll trace a route from the plateau's misty saddle down to river valleys and cave mouths, revealing how each landscape element depends on the next. You will meet a forester a shepherd, and a cave researcher whose lives intersect on Snežnik slopes, each guarding pieces of an ecological puzzle. By the end, you'll understand why protecting Snežnik isn't about preserving a single peak, but about keeping an entire web of life stitched together across Slovenia. And you'll learn the surprising ways this remote plateau quietly shapes water, climate, and culture far beyond its tree line. Vršič Pass rises to 1,611 meters, the highest road pass in Slovenia, and a gateway to alpine panoramas unlike anywhere else. Winding through 50 legendary hairpin bends, the road was carved by World War I prisoners and still reveals their scars and stories. Look toward the jagged silhouette of Presank and Mangart, peaks that frame the pass and change color with the light. Do you know the small Russian chapel of Our Lady of Kazan stands at the pass, built in 1916 by Russian prisoners to honor their fallen comrades? Beyond the chapel, alpine meadows spill down into the Socha Valley, their wildflowers feeding rivers of color in spring. In winter, the pass becomes a snowy spine, tempting skiers and adventurous drivers while preserving hushed, frozen landscapes. Hikers leave from the pass into Triglav National Park, following trails that cross glacial cirques and reach emerald lakes. Cyclists challenge themselves on the same switchbacks, making Vršič a pilgrimage for anyone seeking vertical drama and quiet mountain solitude. Nearby Kranjska Gora and the remote village of Trenta feel like linked chapters, each revealing different faces of Julian Alps life. Local guides point out rare alpine plants and migrating chamois that slip like shadows along the ridgelines. On clear days, you can trace the Socha River's turquoise ribbon all the way to the sea, imagining how glacial melt shapes the land. Photographers chase dawn for the split second when rocks glow orange, a moment that makes the long climb worth every breath. And hidden in the pass's name, Vršič, Little Summit, lies a truth. Small places can hold immense stories and vistas. From the engineering marvel of the hairpins to the quiet of alpine chapels, Vršič binds nature, history, and human endurance. Stay with us, and we'll descend the pass toward the Socha Valley, following a river whose color tells a tale of ice and time. Lake Jasna, near Kranjska Gora, is one of the few alpine twin lakes in the world, whose water remains so clear that you can read pebbles 10 meters deep, while the surface mirrors the Julian Alps. Do you know Lake Jasna's twin basins were formed by glacial moraine and are fed by underground springs that keep temperatures surprisingly stable year-round? A short drive from Vršič Pass, visitors often drift from rocky ridgelines to this serene basin, as if crossing from thunder to silence. The change is more than visual. The scent of pine, the sound of pebbles, and the slow ripple of water create a calming rhythm that rewires city stress. In winter, the lakes often freeze into sedgy satin pans, with larches frosted like lace. In summer, sunlight filters through pine to scatter gold on the shallow shores where children and anglers share the silence. Local folklore holds that the lakes were once a single pool, guarded by a water spirit, and fishermen still leave small coins on the rocks for safe passage. Biologists point to an unusual assemblage of alpine flora on the banks, rare mosses and stonecrop that tolerate carbonate-rich soils. A tiny chapel and stone footbridge frame the western shore, making Lake Jasna a favorite for photographers chasing reflective symmetry at dawn. But the real secret is the underwater limestone terraces carved over centuries, visible on calm mornings and revealing the slow geology of the Alps. Walk the short loop, and you'll pass wooden benches that invite long silence, benches that locals use to plan weddings or proposals beneath the mountain shadows. The lake connects to Triglav National Park's trails, an easy portal to higher adventures like the Tamar Valley and the Perichnik Waterfall. Visitors come back year after year for reflection. The scene changes with every light. Emerald lakes like Bled's mirror-like waters and the carved towers of the Socha River have shaped Slovenia into one of the most geologically diverse corners of Europe. From the glint of Bled's island church to the thunderous underground canyons of Skocjan, this small nation condenses mountains, sea, caves, and forests into an unforgettable journey. You felt the hush of Triglav National Park, where limestone ridges give way to alpine meadows, and those same peaks feed rivers that sculpt the karst that hides vast subterranean worlds. Following water's path, we moved from mountain springs to the emerald Socha, then into chambers where stalactites record millennia, each landscape folding into the next. Historic towns like Vipava and Piran show how human life has adapted to these terrains, blending Venetian harbors with vine-laced valleys and cliffside towns. As the sun sets over the Adriatic and the peaks hold the last light, this country asks a simple question. Will you follow the water, the peaks, and the history to discover its next hidden chapter? If you listen closely, the landscapes themselves will keep telling stories long after you leave, waiting for you to return and find what you missed the first time. Carry these images with you. Bled's Island Bell, Triglav's Ridgeline, Skocjan's underground roar, Piran's labyrinthine lanes, and the Socha's emerald flow. And when you plan your next journey, remember that some places are small enough to explore deeply, yet vast enough to change the way you look at the world. Slovenia may fit on a map like a dot, but its landscapes are chapters in a book that invite repeat readings. Come back and let the next page begin.